Oh, right. Got it. Okay, so they'll just have to be able to hear us during the whole thing. Is yours a stream now?
Yes.
Okay, so they should see the card and hear us. Do you see the little spinny thing I put on the card there?
Yeah. It looks like a what's that guy's name off South Park? Do you watch South Park?
Yeah, sometimes.
I can't think of the character's name. It'll come to me.
Yeah, I don't know who you're saying it looks like. Okay, cool. That's working. Yeah, we should be able to pop in here in just a moment.
I love popping in.
The lines are open, people. Call 1-855-49-THINK if you want to share your story of how the sex education system failed you. All right, I think let's do this. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Where'd you go?
Hi.
What's this week's episode called?
This week's episode is called Happy Easter. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Part 13.
Part 14. It's that and then part 14.
Did you go to sunrise service today?
Did I go to the sunrise service? No, absolutely not.
Why not?
My Easter ritual consists of tomorrow buying all of the candy on sale. That's what my Easter ritual is.
It's a good ritual, actually.
Yeah.
I love Sour Patch Kids. Love them. That to me is more. That can save you more than Jesus can. Sour Patch Kids can. It's a spiritual thing.
I agree. Hardcore agree. So listen, real quick before we're going to talk about some other stuff too, but let's get some callers on the line. If you want to call in, we're talking about the American sex education system because we only went through sex ed in America and can't really speak to other countries. Yesterday I did a show reading out some of the stories of the failures. Today we actually have the phone lines open so people can call in and discuss it. The number is 1-855-49-THINK. It is toll free. I don't really know what that means except for that I have to pay for it on my end, the minutes I know and stuff that we use. But I think that means anybody can call from anywhere, but you should, hopefully you know better than I do. But it's a toll-free number. That's what's important here. So that's 1-855-49-THINK. And there is a screener. Once the lines fill up, it's just a busy signal. So if you get a busy signal, you might just want to wait until we finish off a call with somebody who's on.
I would like to apologize for something really quick, Jimmy.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would like to apologize for my absence last week.
Good. You should apologize. Continue.
I actually called. I was with someone. You put me full screen for this, dear everyone. I thoroughly. I called Jimmy. I was at a bar. Full disclosure, I was at a bar last Sunday, with someone that I met off Tinder, and he was singing for the opening for Game of Thrones, and I got a little bit drunker than I had intended to, and that was evident by the fact that I actually called Jimmy before Game of Thrones was on, and it was like, yes.
But what did I say when you called me?
I think you told me to eat pretzels. That's the only thing I remember.
You called me 2 hours before we had to go live, and I said, "Hey, let's switch to water," because you said I think I'll be all right, but I might be too drunk for tonight. And I said, "So switch to water," and then you went, "Okay, I'll switch to a drop of water in copious amounts of whiskey," and that was what you did instead.
That's what I thought I thought you were telling me to drink like a bourbon and water, like a neat, like a Scotch and water neat. Yeah. And I was just telling you that I would do bourbon. Oh, see, this makes sense now. So you're the one that should actually be apologizing for not being clearer.
Okay.
I don't feel nearly as bad.
You're right. Let me do this. Citizens of America, I lied. And I am sorry. I should have done it with my client. Citizens of America, I have not tried to do a Bill Clinton voice in some time, but I feel 20% more predatory.
Love it.
More than 20%.
Love it. Yeah, it's like 90. So
Yeah.
yes, I'm sorry for. I very rarely get drunk. Very rarely. And I've actually only been drunk on stream once, and that actually went very well. I'm actually happy with the way that it ended up. But Monday morning, this past week on Monday morning, I woke up and I was like, I don't remember doing a show with Jimmy last night, and so I began to internally panic. You know what I mean? Like, did I stream with Jimmy last night? And if so, that obviously didn't go very well. And then I got your message about the number or whatever, and then I was like, okay, good. I didn't stream.
That whole thing did not go well. Okay, so some people are saying, can I do full digits, which means I'm going to have to look it up because I don't know what it is. 855-49-THINK. So that's 855-49-84465. We'll jump on the first call here in just a moment. Anything else you wanted to? We're going to try and keep this call tight, or this episode tight. I'm not feeling the best today. You can probably already tell I'm a touch exhausted, but also sick. Let me explain to the audience how not well I feel right now and how exhausted I am. You all know my enthusiasm for Game of Thrones, and I'd say there's probably like a 75% chance I will go to bed before Game of Thrones, which only starts in like 2 hours. Yeah, I know. I may be watching it tomorrow morning instead. I mean stop trying to seduce me, Kyle.
Okay.
All right, you ready for the first caller?
Sure.
All right. Samantha, you are on the air. Samantha, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can
Hello,
you hear
Samantha.
us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
Hi. So tell us about how the American sex education system, or wherever you are, failed you.
I actually wanted to leave a little bit of hope. I did have a religious education, and we had really comprehensive sex education. Like, they made us do research projects about condoms and diaphragms and STDs and adoption and, like, absolutely everything.
All right.
They probably gave us the education a little bit too late because it was at, like, the very tail end of high school. But I knew things were going to get kind of dark today, so I just wanted to start on a positive note.
Well, you've ruined the trajectory of this show, but
yes, correct. Congratulations. That's shocking, but also that's good to hear. Actually, it's really good to hear.
What religion?
We were a Jewish school. I don't know much about what Orthodox sex education would be. I'd imagine it's not as good. We were a conservative school.
Right.
But yeah, there are schools out there that are doing like legit sex ed. So just a little bit of hope there.
It's not the majority. That's my experience. But yeah, no, you're right. It's encouraging to hear.
I'm learning that from you guys.
I'll tell you this too, Samantha. I've come to find that the Jewish faith is a lot more progressive than its counterparts in a lot of cases. I don't know why that's the case, but it seems to me that there was a thing that I watched on YouTube one time where it talked about it was an LGBTQ, it was a pro-LGBTQ thing that a Jewish high school was doing. And Jimmy, have you seen that? That the Jewish faith seems to be a lot more progressive than its Christian counterpart.
It definitely depends, just like all religions, it definitely depends which sect. As Samantha mentioned, like Orthodoxy seems to be significantly different. But I'm curious, Samantha, because this was something we talked about on last night's show, at any point did you guys talk about consent? Because that seems like something that's missing from even progressive programs, the concept of consent and teaching students to seek it and how to have those conversations and not be a douche about it.
Right. We actually did touch on it. It wasn't a huge thing, but obviously we watched like all those movies and stuff. And one of the movies was about a girl who was pressured to have sex by her boyfriend and how that was so bad and like speak up for yourself. Yeah. But we didn't dwell on it, but it was definitely in there.
Right. Yeah, that's something I think they need to have much longer conversations about, because anybody,
Yeah, for sure.
if you're in a situation where you're not sure whether or not you assaulted somebody, that's already just a bad situation. You're already in a bad place.
Samantha, did you are you still practicing, or you left the faith?
I am practicing, but I'm not reformed just because the denominations do mean something very specific. But I'm very low on the scale. But I am practicing.
And you watch us. That's cool.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, I love you guys.
Oh,
good. We love you too.
Well, Samantha, it was great to talk to you, but we want to get into what the people are really here for, which is the nightmares. Let's be real.
Yeah, sorry for ruining your show.
Oh, you didn't ruin it. That was a great first. This was a great first. We're testing this new system that Jimmy put together this week, and this was a great first call. So thank you.
Yeah, good stuff. Very exciting. Thank you, Samantha.
All right. Yep.
Bye, Samantha.
All right. It looks like Stephanie and Stephanie, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, and it sounds like you had a conflict with your health teacher.
Oh, yay.
I did. So my health teacher was trying to teach us that condoms are porous to the point that HIV is actually small enough to pass through a condom. And so condoms protect against HIV. And
oh my God.
I was part of a group called Pride Project, which was actually through my county for LGBTQ youth, and they provided comprehensive sex education. This was outside of school. It was just provided by the county. And so I knew better, and so I had a screening match. This was like my sophomore year of high school. And I was yelling at my health teacher, no, this is wrong, and giving him statistics and facts, and he just was red in the face and didn't know how to handle it, and ended up sending me to the principal's office.
Oh, how do you become a teacher like that? Honestly,
no, yeah.
How?
So for the record, everyone, the molecular structure of rubber is certainly much tighter than the molecular structure of bodily fluids that one can pass HIV through. That is utterly and completely ridiculous.
Do you know what that sounds like, though? Where that comes from? That sounds like exactly what the leaders of the Catholic Church tell those poor people down in Africa, and why you have that epidemic of people dying by the millions because of the misinformation that the Catholic Church presents on using condoms. Right. They won't, and it's egregious. There's so many people dying because the Catholic Church won't come out and say condoms are fine. They can't.
Right.
Oh, just
quite the opposite. I mean, the argument they're often making is that that the use of condoms would be worse than the risk of contracting HIV. I mean, it's really, really disgusting. The other thing, though, Stephanie, is how long was your health teacher a health teacher before you got to yell at them?
I have no idea. I mean, I know that my high school was fairly new. And so I know that he was only there for as long as that high school was open, which was a few years before I got there. But I have no idea how long he was an educator and how long he was teaching health. But yeah, it was bad. And the principal, basically, this was part of the curriculum, and so they backed the teacher, and then they tried to call my mom because I was being insubordinate, and my mom backed me up, and she was like, well, you're teaching her bullshit, so of course she's going to stand up against that. And I would get in trouble for passing out condoms at school. I would make little safe kits for people with condoms and lube and dental dams and stuff. And
did they reprimand
the school would?
I'm sorry. Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries.
Did they reprimand the health teacher, or did he continue to be one after this episode?
No, he continued to be one. Like I said, that was part of the curriculum. Like, he expected to be
No.
Part of the curriculum. Part of the curriculum.
Jesus Christ.
And
Okay.
Oh,
this is
man.
not a religious school. This is a secular public school.
Oh, man.
I know there were stories too around the schools I went to of people getting in trouble for correcting teachers and them being brought in and basically told like, hey, it's an authority thing, so you can't correct the teachers even if they're wrong. And it was, I believe it was all science class stuff too, because one of the schools I went to, there was a biology teacher that I don't know how she became a biology teacher because she didn't know biology, and so it was just winging it all the time. And I know she was one of the ones who got a correction and just like hit the roof of the audacity of you to correct me. It's this weird authority fetish. Fetish is the wrong word to use here, but it's considering the subject matter. But yeah, this idea of like, it doesn't matter if I'm wrong or not. What matters is I'm the leader. Look at me. I am the captain. Like that's the whole attitude now. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, we can laugh about it now, you know, because it's just so unbelievably absurd. But if you think about it, the fact that somebody is able to continue to espouse that sort of misinformation, can have really damning and damaging consequences. You know, if it hadn't been for you standing up against that teacher that day, I mean, kids may have walked away. I hope they listened to you, and I hope that they, you know, took away with what you were saying. But if they didn't, and the classes before you and the classes after you, if there wasn't a you in those classes, then who knows the ramifications for that person being able to stand up there and spout that bullshit.
Yeah, and if it worked for like the Pride project that I was part of, that was teaching me comprehensive sex education, can you imagine what little knowledge I would have had from that class? Like,
yeah.
And where did you learn your like the you know that where did you learn the information to be able to stand up to that health teacher? Like where did that information come from for you? Because obviously you knew that before you had your interaction with the health teacher.
Yeah, it was a program put on by the county. It was Washington County in Beaverton, Oregon, and it was called Pride Project. It was specifically for LGBTQ youth between the ages of like 12 to 21, I think, is the cutoff. And they teach comprehensive sex education. They have condom demonstrations and everything, and there's a social worker there and we basically, it was like it was kind of a mix of like sex education and counseling for queer youth. And so it was great for me because like after school I would go to this every week, and I would learn and I would connect with, you know, other people who were also queer. And so not only did I get regular, like, you know, I would get overall sex education, but I also got sex education geared for LGBTQ people.
Wonderful.
That's amazing. Yeah,
that's amazing.
There has to be, and I don't know what it is, so maybe we'll have to look into it, or maybe people in the live chat will have some suggestion, but there's got to be some kind of resource or some kind of organization that when they go in and they have, like, for example, religious groups come in and teach sex ed, or you have a teacher just teaching blatantly false sex ed, there's got to be some way. There's got to be some organization that will either put it on blast or will take legal action when it's sanctified. Now, with the religious group stuff, that's something I'd be interested to find out if the Freedom from Religion Foundation, if they take up the when religious groups are brought in to talk about sex ed, because that would be preferable. I mean, that would be a big place they could help. But Stephanie, any last thoughts there before we move on to the next caller?
Just that, you know, it shocks me that the school curriculum included such false information, but yet my government was still offering comprehensive sex education outside of school. So it just makes it so polarizing how that works.
Yeah, no, 100%.
thank you. Thank you so much for calling, by the way. And before you get to the next caller, Jimmy, I just want to say this. Can you tell the story about the thing that is happening at your school? I think that needs to be definitely put out there.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and talk about that. Stephanie, we're going to hang up now, but thank you so much.
Yeah.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
So, I'm not going to put on blast what school I went to, mostly because I don't really care as much about people finding like my old yearbook photos. I care that I have siblings that still go there. And because we are talking about actual hate groups, I have no interest in making them a target. But basically, the junior high school that I went to right now is going through something of a what should be a PR nightmare. They had a few weeks back, there were kids putting flyers in this school that said things along the lines of it's not okay to, or it's great to be straight, it's not okay to be gay. And then it said, the only reason Black Lives Matter is because who would pick our cotton, and the tagline was "Join the KKK, the Kid Klux Club or Kid Klux Klan," something along those lines. Already off the bat, there was all of this problem because there wasn't a quick response to it. They didn't seem to be taking it terribly seriously. There wasn't a quick response condemning the speech, and then. Come to find out this week, the kids in the LGBT or the Gay Straight Alliance were called in with their club counselor and a few other teachers and told that they were no longer allowed to wear pride material, pride flags, pride bracelets, whatever, basically any kind of the rainbow stuff is what we're talking about mostly. And the reasoning was that they don't want to make other students feel the way these students felt when they saw those super bigoted flyers up, as though these are equivalent, that we need to protect those bigoted students who might feel bad when they see a pride flag because, like how you felt bad when they said it's not okay to be gay and then attacked black people and are promoting white supremacy. Now, my understanding is the superintendent has basically said, no, that policy is not a thing, and we'll make sure that that was actually something I just read about earlier. We'll see, because the actual principal, supposedly it was a policy that was made by the principal and this counselor for the school club. But the principal is claiming he knew nothing about it. So we'll see what happened. But yeah, I mean, we're talking about, and I didn't go to junior high. I went to part of junior high in the South, but this would be I went to junior high in Wyoming. I'll give people that much information, though. Now they'll probably be able to find all the information that I was trying to avoid. But
I've already got it. Just ask me.
Yeah, he'll give you my home address. He keeps doing that. So yeah, just this really, really disgusting thing happening. And as far as I can tell, that is to bring in the gay students and say, you can't wear this stuff because it will offend the bigoted students, is rewarding the bigotry of those other students. In the end, I think some students got suspended or something. I don't remember what the punishment was, but it wasn't expulsion despite it being straight up hate speech. So in the end, you have these kids put out flyers. They want their racist, bigoted, homophobic agenda catered to, and it was.
Everybody's head in terms of administration at that school needs to roll. Like, they need to clean the slate. There is no justifiable reason that somebody that responds to a situation of outright racism and hate crime. That is the definition of a hate crime. What those kids were doing. There is no reason why adults should be in the in care of kids, especially their education, in a situation like that. Like, everybody's head in that administration should fucking roll.
Right. And we are way past the time where it was socially acceptable for some reason for people to say like, well, people have different religious beliefs, so we don't want to come out and condone homosexuality. At this point, if you don't, if you say I don't want to take a position on that, I assume you're a fucking bigot. If you're going to come in and say I'm not going to take a stance on whether or not being gay is okay, I assume that means you think it's not, because at this point we're talking about there is no nuance to this argument. It would be the same as saying I'm not going to take a stance on if interracial marriage is okay. These are things people are born as, and if you say that, any administrator right now, if they said I won't take a stance on whether or not interracial marriage was okay, you would be right to assume they are a racist.
Speaking of, you brought up the religious. It's time in our country to move past the religious thing. Yeah. But it doesn't just affect religious people, as we've seen yesterday.
Right.
You also can have people who are atheists that also are just as bigoted as people of religious back. So it's a widespread issue and problem, and
Can we do this one at a time, full screen? I'll do it first, and then you can do it. You'll understand what I'm saying here. Let me just pump this up real quick. Let me just say, unambiguously, very directly, and I want to make sure how I feel about this and what my thoughts on this matter are very clear. So here is my statement. Fuck Emperor Atheist. Fuck you and the horse you rode in on. And yes, you do hate gay people. All right, there you go.
Yeah. I too will echo Jimmy's sentiment. You said that you don't condone homosexuality. Well, I'm glad that you feel that way, but there's nothing for you to condone. It's just like it's nonsensical as me saying I don't condone heterosexuality. It's a thing that exists, and we don't need you to condone it. So sit the fuck down. And also, fuck you. And at 9:00, we will be dismantling the empire, whatever you're the emperor of. I don't know why you call yourself the Emperor Atheist, but Emperor Atheist, when you come, if you decide to come on this stream, like I said last night, this queen is going to knock you the fuck off of your throne.
The worst part was he went straight to implicitly granted, but straight to these very old and debunked ideas that gay men are automatically pedophiles. Because the whole thing was about first saying he doesn't condone homosexuality, and if you don't like that, you can get off my friends list, which I immediately did. And then it was, really, you want to tell me you're going to trust your child at a pride parade surrounded by gay men and all that estrogen? Yeah. Go fuck yourself, buddy. Go fuck yourself.
What a fucking idiot. He's a piece of shit.
We've had callers waiting on the line for 25 minutes now, so let's jump on to.
Yeah, sure.
I believe it is. So the auto screener is a robot that listens. I think it's Taylor. Taylor, is that your name?
Yes, it is.
Okay, good. And is it? I spelled it Taylor for the screen here. Hopefully that's the right way.
Oh, sure is.
Okay, cool.
Hello, Taylor.
All right.
Well, I went to high school in 2 different states, and I started in Vermont, which is very progressive. And I went to a LGBT prom, which was statewide, and they had a sex education class that went with the prom, which is super fucking dope. And they pulled out dental dams and condoms and lube and taught us how to use them, taught us to say, like, consent and everything. I never took an actual health class, though. And when I moved back to Vermont, they just counted my PE credit because they said it would be too awkward to have somebody who knows as much as I do, taking the health class.
Uh-oh.
But, I mean, once again, it sounds like you're someone who got a success. So like a lot of the stuff, don't get me wrong, I had a few health classes, especially in high school, that were adequate. They were adequate anatomy courses on it. I mean, they taught that, but we definitely didn't talk about consent. I didn't see a banana with a condom on it until freshman seminar in college. And I do remember for some reason we talked a bit about I would have told this story last night, but I genuinely didn't remember it until this moment. We did this weird thing where we talked about in this sex ed class in high school, which was part of our health class, we talked about sexuality in media, and what we had to go do is pick between a list of songs we had to choose from and translate the lyrics from like what they are to what they more literally mean. But it was all rap music too. So once again, this is Wyoming, and it's a bunch of, in a way, they were also trying to stigmatize rap in the same thing and be like, oh yeah, look at all these hidden sexual messages. And I got Candy Shop. And so I had to write out the literal, like, I'll take you to the candy shop. I'll let you lick the lollipop. And I had to write out like, I will take you to my bedroom and let you perform oral sex on me. Come on, girl, don't you stop. Keep going till you hit the spot. And so I had to write something like, continue performing fellatio until I achieve orgasm. Like it was I kind of want to now take what I turned those lyrics into and turn that into a rap song. You know what I'm saying? Like, please perform oral sex.
New career out here.
do you think that to me? It sounded like they were. I thought you were going in the direction where it sounded like they were calling you a little bit of a slut or something when they said, "Oh, you're too experienced to be in this health class."
I honestly wouldn't be surprised. We had a teacher who was teaching at the time that was kind of Republican, very one-sided. She talked very much about abstinence, and that was the only way to go. And I had freshmen who were coming up to me and asking me how to use condoms and what STDs were, and it was really awkward because I ended up teaching the sex ed class no matter what. So.
I will tell you, it was something that I was fascinated by, and I haven't told a lot of people this, but my post-college plan was to apply to medical school and become a gynecologist. It didn't end up happening. Yeah. I did photography instead because things were going well and such. But it was something that fascinated me always from an early age, and so I empathize with you being in a room full of people that you can't even usually get them to get past like laughing all of the time when you want to sit there and actually have that conversation and learn, and they're just sitting there like, oh, take you to the candy shop, you know, that kind of thing. Yeah. And
it's like, I feel like I'm like one of the only people who was in my school at the time that could have a sexual conversation and talk about sex without it being sexual, because that's a thing. Right. And I think that it's very healthy to have kids talk about sex and it not being about having it. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, kids and adults. At this point, the fact that most people don't feel comfortable talking to their parents about sex and sexuality, I think is, and even now when you bring it up to, especially a lot of Americans, they're immediately like, I don't want to talk to my mom about, I don't want to talk to my dad about, like it's something that they, a lot of people feel very strongly that they just can't do that. And meanwhile, you see in other countries that don't have like the teen pregnancy rates we have, that they can, that it's okay for kids to talk to parents. And what's even more amazing are countries where a woman can carry a condom in with them and not be perceived as disgusting, which unfortunately they've done polls and stuff here and other countries. And in America, people immediately assume that means they're just like some dirty slut or whatever. It's just
not so with the guys though. Interestingly enough,
with the guys, it's usually it's like fine. Well, I did that video. I don't know if you saw it Friday. That one with the guy Rob Kowalski's 10 reasons to wait to have sex till marriage, and he thinks he proves the point of why it's reasonable for society to treat women who have had a lot of sex as his word hoes, but men who have a lot of sex as studs.
Didn't he? I think he recently came out and rescinded that book. Like, wished that that book hadn't been published. I think he came out and said that he was wrong. When I do my video reviews, I do it straight from the videos on YouTube, like the day I record them. I don't have an archive of things or anything. Yeah.
So if that's the case, it didn't get in front of me, and he still had the video up. He hasn't unlisted it or anything.
Why would he? What's his last name again?
Rob Kowalski.
Let me just make sure I'm right about that. I don't know why he would still have all that stuff if he did.
My guess is what happened is probably like what Girl Defined did on their Facebook page, where they were like, we have this one video and it's our most popular video, except for that it's the most popular because millions of people have seen it on Cody Ko's channel as opposed to theirs. And so they're like, sometimes we wish we didn't do these videos because they end up being more popular on atheist channels. And then they did another video where they talked about like, and we know people criticize our videos, and I posted a comment that was just something along the lines of like, wait, who's criticizing your videos? The nerve. It's me.
I'll look into that, but I could have swore I heard somewhere where he said that that was a mistake or something like that.
I'd love to see it because I'd love to do a follow up on it because that'd be. But again, why does he leave it up?
It's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, it was 10 reasons, and are you sure it wasn't something more specific to that whole thing with the hose and the studs that he apologized for, or is it?
Could be. I don't. I'm gonna have to look into it. I'll send you what I find, but
yeah,
I need to remember where I heard that number one. So don't quote me on that, but there's something. He said that he regretted something, one part of that at least.
Taylor, any final thoughts before we move to the next call?
I just want to say thank you for the show. It helps your pansexual bitches everywhere. So.
Oh, good. Pansexuals unite. I was trying to do the like. Always. What did they do on Futurama? The Feministas Unite. Was it just this? Feministas Unite, and they do something with their hands where they spread them out. But now I felt like I did something racist or weird. It felt too much like saluting. I don't know. It just felt strange. Anyway, but yeah. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, no problem.
I want to point out that this our callers are very, very reflective, and this to me is the most amazing thing that I've seen since doing YouTube. I've talked with several YouTubers, behind the scenes because we all talk or whatever, and a lot of times we'll share like our analytical. Well, yes, you, because we've had this conversation many times. Our analytical thing, and usually the average for a YouTuber, their demographics are usually about 80 to 90% male because the majority of YouTube is male.
Right.
Jimmy, on the other hand, has the interesting it's an anomaly. How large is your female audience?
So the biggest thing to point out beforehand, because I have to always be that person who points out the flaws with things. YouTube only gives an option of male or female, and if you don't select an option, depending on the way you sign up, it defaults to male. But last I checked, my audience was 75% reported female.
It's incredible.
So undoubtedly that number is incorrect for people who are other genders and maybe are identifying with if they are trans feminine or but non-binary. So the number isn't going to be perfect, but yeah, no, it has been somewhat anomalous that we should have. I was told never to expect more than 8%, and that if I did hit double digits, I would have at most a 12% female audience.
That's where we're at now. We're at 12% of our. It's interesting though, because the interactions that I have with people, it doesn't feel that way. It doesn't feel like there's an overwhelming majority of male viewers. So it's very strange. But yeah, I think it's incredible that you have that number of female audience. It's something to be commended on for sure.
For me, the thing that feels rewarding about it is, because I'm not going to sit there and be like, yeah, let's brag. I'm just not that person. But there is something that feels good about the fact that is an audience of people that felt neglected in the atheist community, that didn't feel represented, that felt like basically they're going to hear a bunch of anti-SJW, anti-feminist, all those kinds of things. And so I feel good about going after an audience that hasn't really been gone after by our community. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are other creators that are definitely friendly to the same communities. But I feel good about having a good sized community of an unprecedented atheist thing.
Sure.
If that all makes sense. I'm trying to get everything set here so I can use the shortcut button a little bit better. Call to. Let's see. I think it looks like we have Joyce on the line. Joyce, can you hear us?
Yeah. Did you say Joy?
I have Joyce, but is Joy the correct name?
Yeah, J-O-I, yeah.
J-O-I. Okay, let me correct this here.
J-O-Y.
But go ahead and J-O-Y. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead and tell us what you were calling in with.
Okay, I was lucky. I went to junior high and high school in Laguna Beach, California. Okay, before I started, I'm 60 years old, and so this was in the mid to later 70s. I was going to high school, and it was called like a health class, and birth control wasn't discussed, but you know how babies were made, discussion of STDs, and you know, feminine hygiene and all that sort of thing. But kind of the reason I'm calling is because my mother was born and raised hardcore Catholic, and I'm glad you guys mentioned the Catholic part of this. I mean, before my mom got married, she had to take a class of how she always submitted to her husband, which of course is my dad. And so, long story short, my oldest brother was born. 2 years later, my second brother was born, and then the first one was 2 years old. Then she had my second brother, and when my second brother was 3 months old, she found out she was pregnant with me. And this was at the time that it's kind of like the rabbit dye thing. You know, you had to wait in the doctor's office for your pregnancy test to come out. Well, the doctor comes out and says, yeah, you're pregnant. And my mom said she sat there for 3 hours just like having a nervous breakdown, crying, you know.
Yeah,
and
I could imagine. I'd be in a similar boat to find out I had gotten someone pregnant. Joy, real quick, Joy, I had a question about the submission class. Was that a church class or was that
No.
Okay, so are you...
high school.
So it used to be a part of public school curriculum to teach submission doctrine? Holy fucking shit.
No. It was a public school, Laguna Beach High.
Okay.
And it was just a basic, they called it health class, not sex education. But yeah. I'm kind of getting to the point of this religious aspect. And so my mom, you know, she's deceased, and I loved her. She grew up in a way dysfunctional family, and I mean, she made it clear, that I was not wanted. And the reason my name is Joy is because my dad said, "Fuck this" to my mom, and said, "I'm naming if it's a girl, I'm naming her Joy." Because she's going to be the joy of my life. I don't want to get emotional. So anyway, I get older, and I'm 16 years old, and my mom walks in my room, and I don't know, she saw something in my face. She goes, "You're not a virgin anymore, are you?" And I can't lie good. And I go, "No." And she goes, "Well, tomorrow you're going to go get on the birth control pill." And so she took me to this archaic, conservative, idiot doctor who put me on the strongest kind of birth control. I'm 16. Strongest kind of birth control made. Okay, it made me have anxiety attacks. I'm 5'4". I weighed 100 pounds. I gained 30 pounds. I mean, I went, no, this ain't happening. And so she kept buying them for me, and she thought I was taking them, but I wasn't, because I was using other forms of birth control by then, you know. And when I was about 20 years old, I was visiting my mom. She was living in San Juan Capistrano, and I went to visit her, and she was just in a hateful mood. She goes, "You know, Joy, if I wasn't such a good little Catholic girl when I was pregnant with you, I would have aborted you." And the reason I don't want no sympathy or nothing like that, but this is what religion does.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say on the other side of that, this is something where people think I'm just trying to be like self-deprecating or whatever, but I will tell people in a similar vein to what obviously there was being weaponized to hurt you, and so not the same situation at all. But I will say time and time again that I should have been an abortion. Now, I am alive. So if you're saying that because you regret I'm alive, that's one thing. But I absolutely, by the time my parents already had my oldest sister who's adopted and 4 biological children after, and I have 12 siblings total. There shouldn't have been more. I absolutely should have been an abortion. I am alive, and let me tell you, I've grown attached to being alive because being alive is basically all I do. So I'm not trying to correct that abortion mistake, but I 100%. So personally, if someone were to say that to me, I think I would just agree with them, and you might find. I don't know. I kind of wish I kind of wish I could go back in time with you and like whisper it in your ear when they told you that and just be like, just tell them they're right. Just be like, yeah, well, you fucked up. It's something like that.
Yeah. Well, gee, Mom, you should have dropped this hideous religion of yours and started on those strong birth control pills yourself. I mean, and then 3 years later, my youngest brother was born, and then after that, she goes, "Oh, I'm getting on the birth control pill now. I realize the Pope is not going to come down here and help me raise my kids."
Right.
But back to what you said is when my mom said that, it wasn't. I'm forgetting how you mentioned it, but it's like you weren't wanted. You weren't wanted, Joy. She reminded me of that quite a bit through my life, and
that's awful.
And when she said, if I didn't have these religious beliefs, I would have aborted you. That was just putting the cherry on the cake. I did not want you, Joy.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're here.
But anyway, I love you guys, and
thanks so much.
You see me in the chat all the time.
Yeah.
But and what's great about it, I learned. I had 2 daughters, and I learned what not to do and what not to say, and not give no shame. Do you need any help getting birth control? If there's anything I can do, I'm an open book. You can talk to me about anything. I rebelled so radically and let both my daughters know that my first daughter was it was a one-night stand, and I wanted her so bad. She unfortunately she died of crib death when she was 3 months old, but I wanted her so bad. And in other words, I learned. My mother taught me a great lesson on how to raise my kids.
Joy, I don't think that your mother could have picked a better name for you. I will say that, and I am glad that you're here. I think you are quite the joy, and it sounds that way.
Yeah.
Thank you. You're making me cry. It was my dad that named me Joy. Thank you.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, then he could have picked a better name.
Thank you so much for calling. I'm sorry.
All right,
I'm sorry you went through that. And I was just saying, I'm sorry you went through that, but I'm glad that you have figured out, like you said, the kind of mother to be by not being the kind of mother you had, and I know that's significant. And that's something that I've worried about myself if I decided to have kids. That I know the things about my parents that I wouldn't want to put my kids through, and I worry about like the possibility of falling into those patterns. So I know those anxieties are real. Anyway, thank you so much for calling, Joy.
Thank you, Joy.
All right, you guys, take care, hon.
Yeah.
You as well.
And as we drop that, so we have 4 people on hold right now. and somebody's already just called in, so they're apparently on repeat. We're only going to go for another 10 minutes or so. So everybody who's on right now, we'll have this fifth one. We're going to try and go through these calls kind of quick here because we're on limited time, but we won't be taking any callers after. So now you've heard it. So even if you call in and you go through the screening, we are only going to talk to the people that are currently on hold, and nobody who adds on top of that.
Jimmy really wants to hang up. Jimmy really wants to use that hang up feature.
Well, a little.
He did me yesterday.
It's true.
Can I just say? That's
true.
so funny.
That actually happened. Yeah.
We were testing the system out, and he said, I said, okay, I'll get with you in just a second because we were going to get back on the through vMix, and he said, well, hold on just a second. Let me switch back over because I want to see what it feels like to be dealer hunting for one time and just hang up with you.
And so I said, no, you're done, and I hung up because that's Dale Hunty's thing. All right, Madison, and it's loading. There we go. Madison, are you with us?
Yes, I am here.
Awesome. I hate to like put everyone in a rush, but if we can keep these stories and things tight and quick, yeah. Okay, cool.
Well, you'll get a kick out of this one. I learned about masturbation in church camp when I was 18 years old.
That's great. You're my favorite call already.
When you say you learned about it, are you talking about self-exploration, or are you talking about hearing about how evil it is?
That's
hearing about how evil it is, but before that, I did not know there was a word for that. I had been doing that. I did not know what a clitoris was. I was terrified. I thought I was the weirdest, strangest person on earth. No, there's a word for that. So even though it was a sin, it was better education than my school system gave me.
Well, Madison,
this one time at church camp?
If I can comfort your 18-year-old self, I can tell you I have met people in their mid to late 20s who didn't know what the clitoris was. That was the extent to which. In fact, it seems to me that a significant number of people do not actually learn about their own anatomy and have even a basic understanding that you should be getting from sexual education until they get pregnant, because then it becomes relevant for other reasons. Go ahead there, Kyle.
My ex-fiance would tell you that I didn't know what it was.
Well, yeah, I believe that, though. Well, awesome, Madison. Anything?
Was an interesting.
Go ahead.
This was an interesting place where ableism intersected with sexism, because I'm autistic. The school system didn't teach us sex ed.
They just withheld it from you. Yeah.
If you have sex, you will die, pretty much.
Right. Yeah. I just hope you're ready to die.
So I
should be dead a long time ago. God, I've been killing myself forever.
I've been trying, and yet here I'm still kicking. I will tell you my favorite thing from the stories yesterday was that someone thought it was actually not clit, but it was Clint. And so they were calling theirs Clint for a long time. And so that's my favorite thing now. It's Clint. Madison, any final thoughts there?
That is pretty good.
Yeah. Thank you so much for calling in. And I'm gonna be doing these call-in things, and I think Kyle's already sold on doing more of these call-in things. So call in the future too, obviously.
Oh man,
so much fun.
Man.
Sure.
Thank you there, Madison. All right. We are gonna pop on to now. It says in my thing, Marion. Marion, is that your name?
Yes, Marin.
Marin.
I was born and raised Ian.
Ian. Okay, I have it one letter off here with an O, so I'll correct that while you tell your story here.
All right, so I kind of have 3 quick points. High school was abysmal. Our gym teacher didn't even talk about sexual education because he was too embarrassed to teach a co-ed class. So in high school, I didn't even get sexual education. I did get some in middle school and elementary school, though. Those were terrible, as one particular event sticks out very clearly in middle school. We had to cut out these little hearts And every time that we hypothetically slept with somebody, we had to tear off a piece of the heart until it was quote unquote ugly and unwanted.
Yeah.
And it was as though I would lose value every. Sorry.
Yeah. This is there's a few versions of it. I always referred to it as the chewed gum analogy. This is something that I've heard about a few times as well. It's a really, really disgusting thing they do.
Oh, my blood pressure's going
But
up.
there was an extra catch to it. I talked to my one of my guy friends.
Yeah.
We had separated sex classes. He did not have to do that exercise in his class. He was taught about condoms, protection, while we were taught about pregnancy, saying no, and we were also told we would die from herpes, which that had me rolling.
Yeah, that's
and I got
perhaps if you have an autoimmune disease already, that maybe that could happen, but otherwise, no.
How do these people
not.
become How do these people become educators? Honestly.
Yeah,
How?
I don't know. Anyway,
no idea.
You had a couple more points you wanted to throw on in there too.
In elementary school, in fifth grade, we had they taught us about our periods, kind of.
Okay.
But they shamed us about it to the point where I didn't tell anybody once I had started until a whole year after I had hit puberty. I didn't tell anybody for a year.
Can you?
And the only time that I'm sorry?
I want to say that like there are a lot of privileges in the world. I 100% believe things like I was going to say black privilege, that white privilege exists. And I would say one of the worst, maybe not one of the worst, but one of the most annoying ones out there. I don't even know what to call it. I guess it's probably like cis dude privilege, where the fact that most cis men, whether don't have to interact with the concept of a period virtually ever, and they hide from it. They don't want to hear about it. They don't want to help out with it. And just the whole concept of like half of the world goes through this thing, and the other half is just like, let's do our best to pretend it doesn't exist because it's a shameful thing. And then that's also. Right. That's also like propped up by religious concepts of that you are actually unclean and that there are steps you have to take because of the law of Moses and stuff during that time. Anyway, sorry, go ahead and finish your story.
How do you shame somebody for a biological process like that happened? You know what I'm saying? Like it's not something that you can turn off.
Right.
Right. We were told not to talk about it at all. In class, we were told to just go to the nurse. But when you're a kid, you're scared and you think, well, if I'm not allowed to talk about it to a teacher, it's obviously wrong. That's what my thought process was. And so I also didn't talk about it with my parents. I hid it for a year.
Yeah.
And I was so embarrassed until my dad found out, and he was like, "How long has this been going on? Let me take you to the store right now." Of course, I was like, "Oh, it just started."
When not to bring up my my ex-fiance again, but when I was engaged, I was engaged to a woman one time, and I remember the first time that she was a teacher, and she was like, "I'm running late in class. I'm not going to be able to stop on the way home. Can you stop and get some tampons?" And to me, like, I know that there's this this fear or phobia or whatever that guys get weirded out by that. I had no problem going in and grabbing the kind that she needed and going right up to the ring. I mean, maybe it's because I'm I don't know, but I had no issue with it. I mean, it was fine. Fuck it, fine. Yeah, I'll buy them.
I like to try and make the other people feel awkward by just being super loud and proud about it. And just literally just like. I've also a number of times for people that were in a pinch, I've gone and purchased the morning Plan B for them, and that's another one where it's you feel somebody always asks a question or cracks a joke, and my response is like, actually, it's because I'm an excellent fucking friend. But anyway, Marion, thank you very much for calling. We're running low on time here, so we're gonna jump on to the next caller. But that is horrific, and as as with so many of these stories today, I feel like I'm going to keep saying, I'm very sorry you went through that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, thank you. All right.
Bye-bye.
We have Cameron, and Cameron, I actually recognize your area code because I used to have your area code once upon a time.
Yes. Yeah. I went to high school like 20 minutes from Slidell.
Oh, wow. Okay. Very cool. Very cool. So we probably had like team football matches that I never cared about against each other once upon a time.
Yeah, probably not. I'm significantly younger. I won't say significantly. Oh. I'm younger than you. So
all right. Well, it's great talking to you. We're going to drop that call. No, I'm kidding.
I can.
Significantly younger. Oof. Oof, oof. Anyway, what's your story, Cameron?
I'm glad you got it, not me.
So we had the typical sort of abstinence only sort of education, a lot of like fear about STIs and all that, but they did talk about they definitely talked about the queer community, but my teacher, she just kept saying lesbian and gay people, and we were like, that's not okay. So my friend kind of raised her hand and was like, well, what about like bisexual people? She said, they're just greedy, and just kind of said like, they're not. No one's really
that's
bisexual.
true. I mean, that's
true. That's
that's
true.
not wrong. That's a correct stare. No, I'm kidding. No, that's you always hear something like that. It's either bisexuality. Often people just think are like just incredible sex perverts and just people with ridiculously high libidos. And just because that's true for me does not mean it's true across the board. But yeah, that they're just sex obsessed people. And then you also hear it's not, a lot of people like to portray that bisexuality is not real, that you do have a preference one way or the other, and that everything else is just you being a pervert going through a phase. That kind of shit definitely comes up.
Yeah, it's always crazy. It's like a lot of times you hear it's like the women just want men's attention, and that the bisexual men just are gay and haven't realized it yet. And it's like, you ever think it doesn't all focus around wanting men? Like,
right. Well, the other thing that happens in reverse that's also super damaging is you get people who they're basically, they just think they are gay, and then they successfully, after counseling with a bishop or something, they successfully enter into a straight relationship or straight marriage, and they go, oh, see, through the grace of God, you can actually be straight. And it's like, no, I have news for you. You were just bi. And it turns out I was just bi the whole time. The bi was in my heart the whole time. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. And I kind of have a funny story to tack on, from what the last caller was saying.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I was in high school. I was young, and I went to go buy a morning after pill, and I was checking out, and the cashier, she says, do you have a CVS rewards card? And I said, oh, no, I don't. She goes, well, if you're buying this, you might want to get one. And at the time I was like, I felt a little bad, but we became friends, and she was a sweet woman. But
that's
funny.
Cool. Yeah, that's really funny.
I like people with a sense of humor.
All right, Cameron, thank you so much. We are going to move on to the next one, but yeah, no, I enjoyed your story. Thank you for calling in.
Thanks for having me. Y'all have a good night.
Bye, Cameron.
Bye-bye.
You too.
I think a little bit of delay has shown up, and that's actually something that happened the other day. To those people who are trying to call in on repeat, again, we're going to get through these last two calls. Yeah, I'm literally going to hang up on you here in a second. We're going to get through these last two calls of the people who have been waiting a while here, but we're not taking any additional new calls. I mean,
can you pick up number 3 just to hang up on them?
They are, just to say hi. I mean, they are successfully costing me 3 cents a minute, because that's how this whole thing works. So, that part. But basically, I've been shaving off how long the queue can even be as we go here. But anyway, Yvette, is that the correct name here?
Yes, that's my name. Yvette. Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to have to correct this one also. But go ahead while I correct the spelling. Give us your story.
Yeah, so I'll go quick. So I went to Catholic school from kindergarten to 12th grade. Oof. Anyways, it was in 7th grade. I guess, I don't know if the middle school didn't require, like, the education, but after a parent complained to the principal that they caught 2 of the middle schoolers trying to do the devil's deed, as they will, they had to put, like, the curriculum for the following semester. But, like...
I'm sorry, what did you call it?
Kind of deal.
Doing the devil's what?
Deed.
The devil's deed? I see. Okay. I just wanted to know.
Yeah, no, but because some people call it that.
Yeah, we had a situation in my high school where someone was caught under the stairs of the stage giving someone else a hand job, and I remember that because everyone found out about it. I remember there being something. I think it was just a teacher read an official notice and stuff, and it was just like, these things are highly inappropriate on school grounds and yeah. So,
yeah.
Oh yeah, Kyle's raising his hand. Go ahead.
Can we talk about this is a sensitive issue, but how do you feel about hand jobs?
Depends on the person. I will tell you, I've had some incredible ones, but I've also had ones where the person just had no idea. I will say myself, in the last 5 years, I think there has only been one individual who was able to successfully complete the task. Yeah.
I love how we're in each other's heads so much that we can fit each other's
sandwiches.
I can do it better myself. I never got that. Like, it's like, this is something that I can do better. Like, what are we doing right now? This is just awkward.
Well, but in the right situation, like, there's also the nice ability to, like, make out with the person as that's going on and touch other parts of them that, I mean, there's more to the experience. But anyway, Yvette, this is not what you signed up for.
Yeah, sorry, Yvette. I apologize.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Did you have any?
Yeah,
do you have any?
The other thing,
go ahead.
The other story is, so high school, I went to an all-girls Catholic high school, and junior year we had one of those. They didn't call him abstinence only. He was a chastity speaker to come talk to us, and it was like, he still does. Like, he's kind of well known in that circuit, but he does like all these talks, and like at the end of the talk, he gave us all like his like free little booklet and his wife's booklet, and he used his wife as an example of someone who was like a born-again virgin, essentially.
Kyle, I want to know if we're in the same zone again here too. As she was finishing that, in your head, did you think she was going to say that after the seminar, he gave them all his number? Because that was exactly okay. Yes. I was like, this seems like the kind of thing that Kyle would have. I genuinely thought that's where you're going with it. That this priest came in, did the seminar that he's well known for, and then he passed out his number to everyone.
Yeah. That'd be great.
Oh man.
No, yeah, it was some young guy that he was using. Like, apparently his wife was able to like start over, so they kind of. Fortunately, he didn't use any of like the chewing gum or like heart metaphors they use. Like, oh, if they're used, it means you're not here anymore, and no one wants to be with you. It was more like, oh, but you can start over kind of deal. But it was still like there was a lot of like misinformation with him, especially with like the pill. Like, he claimed that even if you took like the birth control pill, that like you probably were still pregnant. It just aborted it or something. They confused it with the abortion pill.
Yeah,
I'm throwing a flag on the play.
Yeah, there are some. Oh, are you talking about sports ball? There's a lot of just so much misinformation about virginity in general, and it's a bullshit concept anyway.
It's more than misinformation. It's complete utter bullshit. Like, what they're saying, it's way beyond. It's just so dumb. So dumb.
Arbitrary and ridiculous. All right. Well, thank you so much, Yvette. We're gonna move on to this last caller here, but thank you for sharing your story with us.
Yeah. All right, next caller. No pressure. Yeah, thank you, Yvette. No pressure. You have to bring the heat. You're the last caller, so this better be good.
And I think it's Paul. Is that correct?
Yes, it's Paul.
Paul and Morgan.
How's it going?
Paul and Morgan?
Oh God, I would die.
This is the we gotta sing the song now, Jimmy.
It's the Paul and Morgan, the Paul and Morgan and Kyle and Jimmy show. All right, which Paul do we have?
Okay, hello, just Paul.
All right,
okay.
So I just wanted to make 2 quick points here. Sorry to make it a little bit serious, but what you guys were saying earlier about how there's like lower rates of pregnancy in other cultures and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I'm Indian, so in like particularly the Eastern cultures, there's a lot more stigma that goes around with like sex outside of marriage and things like that. So the youth are literally like more hesitant to engage in sexual activity outside of marriage just because of how much parents disapprove of those kind of things, and marriages are more arranged and stuff like that. And the second point I wanted to make is the socioeconomic statuses of most of these education programs. I lived in California for a really long time, and when I was living in Santa Clara, which is a more upscale neighborhood, we started sexual education like in the 5th grade. So when I moved to the Central Valley, which is like the opposite side of the spectrum, and we didn't get sexual education until like the 9th grade. So I mean, I think that's kind of like an important conversation to have about socioeconomic status of all these people. Where where you see the most highest teen pregnancy rates is those areas where the schools are most underfunded.
Yeah.
Sure.
To the first point, if it sounded like I was saying most other or all other cultures besides America have better teen pregnancy rates or something like that, that's totally not what I meant. It's the countries and cultures that don't go with abstinence only, because the abstinence only thing has been demonstrated to just not be successful. Regarding
no. I completely agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but because like I said, I'm Indian. Like, and particularly in my culture, I recently went back to India recently, and there's a lot more, I would say, outside marital sex there. But like, you can find a condom shop on almost every single corner in the place I live back in India.
Yeah,
like,
they have condom shops.
Good, good.
That's awesome.
There's shops. It's not like over here where you have to go to CVS or Walmart. Like,
yeah,
that's awesome.
You can literally just go to a health shop in India and just ask for condoms. And the reason for that is because the long-standing stigma of those particular cultures, where outside medical sex equals baby, and if you're a woman found to have a baby outside, like, you're just stigmatized way more than you are here in the United States.
Listen,
so,
I want to
talk about European cultures.
I definitely want to go to Trojans R Us. That sounds awesome. You know what?
Yeah, no, and then your other point of European cultures is that they definitely have better sexual education than we do here in the United States.
I think it was interesting, too, what you were talking about, people's socioeconomic status. I actually did get my first sex ed class was actually in 4th grade, but it was a cartoon and it was anatomy and it was I'm pretty sure it was just because some of the kids were starting to develop BO. I'm pretty sure it was a reaction to that. Mm-hmm. And so it wasn't comprehensive. We definitely didn't learn anything that the only thing I can remember from that class was the cartoon of the girl going from having small breasts to big breasts in a single instant, and there being a sound effect as the cartoon breast, something that sounded like boing. As the breast grew. So yeah, it definitely wasn't comprehensive. But yeah, I think we need to make it comprehensive education that is accessible to everyone. And I will tell you, Kyle put the pressure on you as the final caller to bring it all home, and I think you brought it all home. I think you were up to the task, so I'm impressed.
Very good.
All right, no problem. Yeah, thanks, man.
Thank you, Paul.
Absolutely. Have a good one, guys. And fuck Emperor Atheist, what the fuck his name is.
Yeah, fuck Emperor Atheist. Absolutely. Thank you.
We're about to do that very thing.
Absolutely. All right, so that is, I'm gonna hang up that. We're gonna confirm the end of the show there, and then as always, we will read off our super chats and then get going. You know what? This show, I liked it so much. It's brought my energy up. I'm less exhausted. I might make it to Game of Thrones just because we did this show. Just because of that. I feel bad for you. You're going live to take down Emperor Atheist right when Game of Thrones is going on.
Well, and you know what? My anger for having to do that is going to motivate me to get the job done. If you thought Cersei was a bitch in Game of Thrones, she hasn't got a thing on this queen. Nothing.
I love you to death, and you know that, but I'm going to watch on replay. I'm definitely going to watch Game of Thrones. Yeah. I mean, you're brave to put it in the same time slot in the first place.
Well, this to me is not like, I'm not interested in if I was interested in the viewership, I wouldn't. You know what I mean? But this to me is just something that needs to happen. He needs to be told what a complete utter bigot he is and put in his place. And to me, I can watch Game of Thrones an hour and a half later for that very reason. So I'm okay with it.
Oh, are you calling him to repentance? My goodness.
It's going to be.
It's going to be.
I've got screen caps of everything that he said. People have been sending me things, so it's going to be ugly.
You and I, for people who don't know, Kyle and I sent this screenshot to our group chat, and then Kyle and I had just for the next hour, 2 hours, talked about how pissed off we were. I was trying to work after I saw this whole thing. I couldn't see straight. I was so pissed off. So I'm glad to hear that some shit's going to go down. Anyway, go ahead with the super chats.
Okay. Penguin sent a super chat without a message. Thank you. Mr. Metal Lover 666, happy Zombie Jesus Day, guys. To you as well.
Yeah.
Janice Hall sent a super chat without a message. Thank you. Mr. Metal Lover again, 666. Queen takes Emperor. Checkmate. Hell yes. The double N22 says pissed off Kyle is best Kyle. And 0132132 says, I ended up explaining what masturbation was to a very, very sheltered classmate when it was thematically relevant in an AP English lit. Weird stuff. I'd love to hear that story.
Absolutely. All right, Criminal Scum, thank you. Kristen Kernick, yay, finally get a chance to super chat. Thank you so much. Catherine, also, did you know that people with YouTube Premium get one free super chat a month for $2?
Yeah, I haven't even used mine.
I had no idea. Yeah, I'm gonna have to start doing it also because I have YouTube Premium. So people, if you have YouTube Premium, you didn't know, there's probably a free $2 super chat in there. I'm not saying you have to give it to me, but please give it to me. Okay. Anyway, Catherine Ideas, can you do full digits, please? I don't know how to do letters. I'll fix that for the future too, where I offer both. Sarah LMAO, sex ed only after 6 girls got pregnant. Love your show. Yeah, that's unfortunately when sex education shows up, it seems to always be too late. Akine says, great fun, fellows. I hope the call system isn't drowning you in new bills. So it's not terrible. It is a new expense. And so, I definitely very much appreciate everybody who's supporting with Super Chat and Patreon and things like that. There's some ways I can contain it. I probably won't. In this case, we had 5, a hold line of 5. I'll probably reduce that to 3 in the future, and I'd even meant to do that here. So there are ways I can make it not go absolutely terrible, but doing the toll-free number also makes it not 3 cents a minute. I said that earlier. It's actually 6 cents a minute. I may add a local number to it too, but then there's more to the monthly cost. I don't know. It's a whole thing, but I wouldn't say it's drowning in new bills. I'm excited though for the possibilities. I think this was a raging success, and I had a lot of fun. So I could see this being something that's going to happen plenty in the future. I'm going to keep my live shows to only Saturday and Sunday on this channel, but over on Jimmy Snow, What Do You Know? If you haven't subscribed already, I could see the call-in live shows happening with whatever frequency the demand for it has. K, I assume that's how you pronounce it. Regarding feeling crappy today, me too. Chronic pain hit me hard. I've been exhausted in bed all day. Take care of yourself and get some rest. Also, one of the first weddings I attended was a Jewish lesbian wedding led by a female rabbi. Yes, there is definitely some very, very progressive sects of Judaism. S-Pop, my school tells me that my sexuality is a sin on a weekly basis. Having sex before marriage is lying with your body, and asexual people don't exist. Your school sucks. Spoonies
lying
just
with
want
your
to have.
body. I love that.
Yeah. I also got taught at one point which we did a video making fun of someone who made this case, and then I remembered that I did hear this at church once, that masturbation is gay sex.
My body is such a liar.
Spoonies just want to have fun. Thank you for taking my call. It was a fun chat, Stephanie. And also, Jimmy, I want to let you know I now have a degree in human sexuality. Very, very cool. It's something I'm just terribly, terribly fascinated by, in a good way, terribly. Jack Ramirez, sometimes I'm alive, sometimes I wake up as death. Interesting. I have not woken up as death before. T.A. Bryan, Louisiana here, no sex ed, just DARE Part 2. I remember the DARE program. Drug, alcohol, resistance education. Thank you
and
guys
the little
for
green
having...
guy.
Oh, yeah. Thank you guys for having such a frank conversation about this. I had like DARE t-shirts and stuff too. Emily Moraine, I called in at the beginning but froze and hung up from anxiety. I'm kicking myself now. I had Mormon sex ed. Parents didn't teach me anything. And unfortunately, the Mormon sex ed probably set you back. I'm sorry that the anxiety was overwhelming. We would have loved to talk to you, but maybe next time. There will always be more opportunities. Mab Joslin, millennial social media supplemented my sex ed. Consent was never talked about in school in the 90s. Tumblr taught me, Tumblr taught me non-binary is what I am. I thought you were just saying in general that Tumblr taught you, which I wouldn't say Tumblr would have been the best place to learn everything, but I'm glad you found out about the non-binary, the gender distinctions and everything there. Haven't been in the psych ward since that discovery. For a lot of people, discovering their sexual and gender identity and all of that is a huge relief and a huge weight lifted, not wait listed. We are not talking about a college course. AC Castillo, to cover your 3 cents per minute. By the way, love you, XOXO. Thank you so much. And it turns out, so what it actually is it's 6 cents per minute for my call, because I have to call in too. And then it's also 6 cents per minute for each caller that's on hold. Then it's another 6 cents per call. That one's not per minute like the other one, per call for the robot screener to robot screen. Secret cover gal, nope. Hey man, I called around 15 times for you. Thanks. I don't know if that means you were one of the ones that got through, but I hope so. Unfortunately, it's just it really is just the luck of the draw.
We can't help that.
Yeah. Wow. Your audio just came through so strange. Say something again.
Good strange or bad strange?
No, you sound so, it's like a robot that's like cutting up and stuff. I don't even know how to describe what I'm hearing.
I don't know why. Is it still doing that?
It's like super echoey. It's like, no, it's not the audio from your secondary. It almost sounds like the $1 Million Man stuff. Like the, yeah. Oof, oof.
Don't know.
Okay,
why.
please stop. That doesn't sound good. Unplug the mic and plug it back in, maybe.
I'm just gonna refresh and see if that doesn't.
All right, cool. Amber Blackwell. The teacher went out of his way to demonize gay and trans people. He would commonly say things like, all gay people have HIV. As usual, adore you guys. Hi from South Carolina again. Came partially out of my gender closet, by the way. That's amazing that you felt ready and safe to do that. I'm very, very sorry for the shit teacher you had. All right, say something.
Something.
No, it's still terrible. It's the mic. You're gonna want to unplug and replug, I think.
I do.
Yokai and theories. Then I have no idea what's going on. Do I sound that way too?
I'll just remain
listen
silent.
to my own. Test. You know what? It sounds like I sound that way too. Are they saying? What are people saying here? Does everybody sound terrible right now? I don't know why the audio's this way.
They say it sounds fine in the stream.
Okay.
Everybody says it sounds fine.
As long as they hear it okay and it's just me, that's totally fine.
You sound fine to me too.
Yeah, when I listen to my own monitor, everything's just all chopped up. I don't know what's going on. Say something again.
Something again.
Yeah, it's just coming through. Mine really rough for some reason. All right, well, that's up. I'll just finish reading these out.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Fuck it, we'll do it live. I said fuck it. Pretty good. All right, Kyle. Yokai and theories for Kyle. How did this queen start? Just
what queen?
You referring to yourself as a queen. He's just using the colloquial term queen.
Yeah, I'm using it because he calls himself an emperor,
right.
atheist, and so to combat that, I'm taking the the queen role, and the queen will take out the emperor. Checkmate, all that good stuff.
I hate this. I hate what's happening in my ears right now. Okay. Black Diamond, love your show. Keep it up. Thank you so much. Corey Geffart and Renee Wasser, thank you so much. Alexandra Parthenopeus, my first super chat, Pan Romantic, and you a snack. Thank you so much. That's very kind of you to say. Ron, luckily I got secular sex ed in Florida. I was also in Florida for some of my schooling, and I had the exact opposite. A religious group came in and just lied to hell about a lot of stuff. Do It Sumania had a program called TOP, Teen Outreach Program, powered by Planned Parenthood. They talked about all forms of birth control, and we even did a showcase where we taught other students about STDs and STIs and gave out condoms too. Planned Parenthood, I imagine, has a much better and more comprehensive program than most public schools. So that's very good, very encouraging to hear. Remy Vu, thank you so much. Erica Frost, Dare taught me drugs are really expensive. DARE, drugs are really expensive. Shannon it depends on the drug. Shannon Likens, love you guys. So excited for Kyle's next stream. And Quinn Hoyer, you've got your work cut out for you, correcting misinformation. Keep up the good work. Yeah, and there is definitely plenty of misinformation. And also Destiny D, thank you. All right. That is where we are ending tonight. I'm not going to let Kyle say a word because it's just going to wreck my ears. So Kyle can be found over on the NonSequitur show if you want to go watch that takedown of Emperor Atheist. I'm going to head home. I'm going to get into bed and put on Game of Thrones and try not to fall asleep. Wellington Smith, HPV vax prevents cervical rectal cancer is for boys too. Very cool. I was not vaccinated for HPV. I imagine I'm too old to be now, but if I'm not, sign me up. Awesome. Thank you all so much for watching. And all right, Kyle, you can say something. Now I feel bad.
I'm not sure what you want me to say exactly.
I hate it.
Love you all.
I hate it. Good night, everybody.
Cool.
I loved that.
Yeah, that was fantastic. That was the best one yet.